The medical bay was quiet, filled only with the soft hum of alien machines. Cold white lights reflected off smooth metal walls. Most patients here were aliens, different shapes, colors, and sizes. But today, there was something rare on the central bed, a human. He lay still, tall even while unconscious, wrapped tightly in a thick thermal blanket. His face was pale, marked with small cuts and dried blood. One arm was bandaged, the other connected to glowing tubes that pulsed slowly. According to the report, he had been found alone in a damaged escape pod near the edge of the system. Humans were dangerous. That was what everyone believed. Nira stood near the doorway, holding the small cleaning unit in her hands. She was young for a station caretaker, her blue-gray skin smooth, her eyes large and cautious. She had cared for many wounded beings before, but never a human. Most aliens avoided them if possible. Do it quickly, the senior medic had told her. Clean his body, check for infection. Do not remove the blanket fully. Nira swallowed and stepped closer. The human did not move. His chest rose and fell slowly. For a species known across the galaxy for strength and violence, he looked fragile. That thought made her nervous. Humans were unpredictable. Even injured ones could be dangerous. She activated the cleaning cloth. It warmed slightly in her hand. Slowly, carefully, Nira pulled the blanket down just enough to expose his upper arm and chest. His skin tone was strange to her, soft pinks and browns, marked with scars that told stories she could not read. She began to wipe gently. The human made a low sound, barely more than a breath. His brow tightened, but his eyes stayed closed. Nira froze, her heart racing. She waited, ready to jump back. Nothing happened. She continued. As she cleaned, she noticed how warm he was. Warmer than most species. The machines showed his body was healing, even without advanced help. Humans healed fast. Everyone knew that. Still, seeing it in front of her felt different. Her hand moved lower, cleaning dried blood near his side. She focused on her task, telling herself to stay calm. Then it happened. Beneath the blanket, there was movement. Not a violent movement, not an attack, just a reaction. Nira pulled her hand back instantly, her eyes wide. Her breathing became fast and uneven. In her culture, such a reaction meant dominance, threat, intent. Her people had been taught to fear it since childhood. She stared at the human, expecting his eyes to open, expecting anger, but he remained unconscious. The machines showed no spike in aggression. His heart rate stayed steady. His hands were relaxed. There was no sign of awareness. Confusion replaced fear. How? She whispered. She stepped back, unsure what to do. Was this a trick? A trap? Humans were known for deception in war. But this one was barely alive when they found him. He had lost blood. He had been alone. Slowly, Nira moved closer again. She watched his face carefully. There was no sign of control. No intent, just a body responding without thought. Something inside her shifted. She finished cleaning quickly, keeping her distance, then pulled the blanket back into place. Her hands trembled slightly as she powered down the cloth. Before leaving, she looked at him one last time. For the first time, she wondered if everything she knew about humans was wrong. Later, in the observation corridor, Nira could not focus on her other tasks. Her mind replayed the moment again and again. Other caretakers noticed her silence. "You touched the human," one of them said quietly. "Are you harmed?" "No," Nira replied. "He did nothing." They exchanged looks. Humans always do something, another said. "You were lucky." Lucky, the word did not feel right. When her shift ended, Nira requested access to restricted data. Human biology, human behavior. The request was denied at first, then flagged for review. Still, she waited. Hours passed. Back in the medical bay, the human stirred again. His fingers twitched slightly. His breathing changed. The machines adjusted, responding to his body instead of controlling it. He was waking, unaware of the fear he caused, unaware of the questions he pleaded. Nira watched from the doorway, her thoughts racing. If humans were truly monsters, why did this one look so human? And why did her fear feel mixed with curiosity? Outside the bay, the station. Lights dimmed as the artificial night cycle began. Somewhere far away, stars burned silently. And beneath a simple blanket, the presence of one unconscious human had already begun to change everything. The human woke slowly. At first, he felt only pain, dull and heavy, spread through his body like thick fog. Then came the sounds. Soft beeping, low humming, air moving in steady rhythm. He tried to move his hand, but it felt weak, as if it did not fully belong to him. He opened his eyes. Bright white light filled his vision. He blinked several times until shapes formed. A ceiling made of smooth metal. Strange symbols glowing faintly. This was not his ship. Not Earth, he muttered in a dry, cracked voice. The sound surprised him. His throat burned. He swallowed and winced. Across the room, Nira froze. She had been checking the medical readings from a distance, telling herself she was only doing her duty. The moment she heard his voice, her heart jumped hard in her chest. The human was awake. She did not move right away. She had been trained to keep distance from conscious humans. Every lesson said the same thing. They are dangerous when aware. But the one on the bed did not sit up. He did not shout. He did not reach for anything. He only looked confused. "Hello?" The human said softly. His eyes moved slowly, scanning the room. "Is anyone there?" His voice was weak, not threatening, not commanding. Nira took a careful step forward, staying near the wall. "You are safe," she said, choosing simple words. "You are in a medical station." The human turned his head toward her. His eyes widened slightly when he saw her. Not with anger, but surprise. "You're not human," he said. "No," Nira replied. "I am a caretaker." He was quiet for a moment. Then he tried to move again and failed. His face tightened with pain. "Don't move," she said quickly. "You are injured." He let out a slow breath. "Figures," he said. "Last thing I remember, my pod breaking apart." Nira watched him closely. His hands stayed open. His body stayed still. There was no sign of aggression. No sudden movements. This did not match the stories. She stepped closer, just enough to check the monitors. "You lost blood," she said, "but your body is repairing itself, fast." A small smile appeared on his face. "Yeah," he said. "We do that." The way he said it was calm, almost tired. There was an awkward silence. Nira felt it growing heavier. She remembered what had happened earlier, what his body had done without thought. Her skin warmed with discomfort. He noticed her hesitation. "Did I do something wrong?" he asked. The question caught her off guard. Humans were not supposed to ask that. They were supposed to take. "No," she said quickly. "You were unconscious." "Then I'm sorry," he said, closing his eyes again. "If I scared you." Sorry, that word echoed in her mind. "You apologize for something you did not control?" she asked. He opened his eyes again and looked at her, truly looked at her. "Yeah," he said. "That's kind of how it works." Nira felt her fear crack slightly. She checked his name from the datapad. "You are called Daniel." "That's me," he said. "And you?" "Nira." "Thank you, Nira," Daniel said, "for helping me." No human had ever thanked her before. Not that she had met. The records showed humans demanded, not thanked. She turned away slightly, pretending to adjust the machines. "It is my duty." "Still," he said, "doesn't mean I don't appreciate it." Another silence followed, but this one felt different. Less sharp. Outside the room, two alien guards watched through the glass. Their eyes narrowed. "He is awake," one said. "Be careful." Nira nodded but did not step away. As the hours passed, Daniel drifted in and out of sleep. Each time he woke, he was calmer. He never tried to touch her, never raised his voice. When pain came, he endured it quietly. Nira observed everything. She noticed how he clenched his jaw instead of crying out, how he turned his head away when she worked near him, giving her space, how he closed his eyes when embarrassed. These small things did not match the image of a monster. During her break, she finally gained access to limited human data. She read quickly, her eyes scanning lines of text, involuntary biological responses, strong social rules regarding consent, high emotional restraint under stress. Her hands shook slightly as understanding began to form. What she had feared was not a threat. It was simply human. When she returned to the bay, Daniel was awake again, staring at the ceiling. "Nira," he said quietly. "Yes? Am I a prisoner?" She hesitated. "No, but some fear you." He nodded slowly. "That makes sense." It did not, but she did not say that. As the station lights dimmed again, Nira realized something important had changed. Not in the human, but in herself. The questions were no longer about danger. They were about truth. And somewhere deep inside the station, among steel walls and silent stars, a quiet bond was beginning to form, one neither of them fully understood. Yet, the medical bay felt smaller now, not because the walls had moved, but because the silence between Nira and the human was no longer empty. It was filled with thoughts neither of them spoke out loud. Daniel sat up for the first time, with help from the bed's support frame. His movements were slow and careful. Pain still lived in his body, but he did not complain. He focused on breathing, counting quietly in his head, the way soldiers were trained to do. Nira watched closely. "Do not push yourself," she said. "Your body is healing, but it is not finished." Daniel nodded. "I won't," he said. "I promise." The word promise caught her attention. Among her people, promises were formal and rare. Humans used them easily, but that did not make them weak. If anything, it meant they valued trust. She handed him a small cup filled with clear liquid. "Drink, it will help." He took it with both hands, careful not to touch her fingers. "Thanks." Again, that word. As he drank, Daniel noticed her eyes. They were large, reflective, always watching. Not hunting, not judging, just learning. "You don't have to stay," he said gently. "If I make you uncomfortable," Nira stiffened. "You do not control my actions," she said at first, then paused. Her voice softened. "But you do not make me uncomfortable." That was the truth. She stepped closer, close enough now to hear his breathing without machines. She adjusted the blanket around him, stopping well above where she needed to before. She had learned, Daniel noticed. He looked away, giving her space. That small action spoke louder than any words. "Why do you do that?" Nira asked. "Do what?" "Look away, hold back. You are stronger than me." Daniel thought for a moment. "Because strength isn't about taking," he said slowly. "It's about choosing not to." Her mind struggled with the idea. Among her species, strength was proven through dominance. Control meant survival. What Daniel described felt dangerous in a different way. "And if you did not choose?" She asked. "Then I wouldn't be human," he replied. The answer stayed with her. Later, a senior medic entered the bay, his tone sharp. "Human," he said. "You will remain under observation. Any sign of aggression will result in restraint." Daniel met his eyes calmly. "That's fair." The medic hesitated. He had expected resistance. He got acceptance instead. After the medic left, Nira felt something shift again. "You are not afraid?" she asked. "Of being watched?" Daniel shrugged carefully. I've been watched my whole life. She did not understand that, but she believed him. As the cycle passed, Daniel grew stronger. He could stand now with support. When pain hit, he stopped, waited, and continued only when his body allowed it. Nira had seen warriors scream over far less. That night, the station lights dimmed to deep blue. Artificial stars glowed across the ceiling panels. Nira remained longer than her shift required. You should rest, Daniel said. You've been here all day. So have you, she replied. Yes, he said with a faint smile. But I'm the one in the bed. She surprised herself by smiling back. Then quietly, she asked the question that had been growing inside her. What happened when I cleaned you? Daniel's face warmed. He looked away again, embarrassed. Nothing. I meant, he said. Just a body reaction, no thought, no intent. And you did not feel power? She asked. No urge to claim? He shook his head. No, if anything I felt exposed. Exposed. The word changed everything. Nira finally understood. What her people saw as threat was, to humans, vulnerability. Not a weapon, but a weakness they trusted others not to exploit. I am sorry, she said quietly, for being afraid. Daniel met her eyes. It's okay, he said. Fear makes sense when you don't have all the facts. That was when the alarm sounded. Not loud, not urgent, but serious, a security alert. Nira turned toward the door. They are calling a review council, she said. They will decide what to do with you. Daniel exhaled slowly. Guess this is where things get complicated. Yes, Nira said, but for the first time since the human arrived, she did not feel fear, she felt resolve. Whatever the council decided, she knew one thing now with absolute clarity. Humans were not dangerous because they lacked control. They were dangerous because they had it and chose kindness anyway. And that choice, more than any strength, frightened the galaxy. The council chamber was cold. It was built that way on purpose. A place where emotion was meant to fade and only logic remained. Tall seats rose in a half circle, each one holding a different alien leader. Scales, fur, metal skin, glowing eyes, all watching the same figure. The human. Daniel stood in the center, supported by a light restraint field. Not a prison, just a warning. His body was still weak, but he stood straight. He kept his hands visible and his eyes calm. Nira stood at the side, among the caretakers. She was not meant to speak, only to observe. Still, her heart beat fast. Tall council member leaned forward. Human, the leader said, voice echoing. You were found in restricted space. You are a soldier, you are injured, and you caused confusion among our staff. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Daniel nodded once. I didn't choose where I crashed, he said. And I didn't choose to be unconscious. Some council members clicked their mandibles in irritation. One of our caretakers reported an inappropriate biological response, another said. Explain. Nira felt heat rush through her skin. Daniel took a slow breath. It was involuntary. He said clearly, no intent, no action. Humans don't control every part of their bodies, but we control our choices. A sharp hiss echoed. Convenient words, a counselor said. Your species is known for violence. Yes, Daniel replied, and also for restraint. The room fell quiet. Restraint? The council leader repeated. Daniel lifted his chin slightly. I was wounded, alone, surrounded by strangers who feared me. I could have panicked. I could have lashed out. I didn't. You were weak, one counselor said. Yes, Daniel agreed. And that's when restraint matters most. Nira watched the council shift. Weakness was shame among their people. Admitting it so openly made no sense. A different council member turned toward Nira. Caretaker, they said. Step forward. Her legs trembled, but she obeyed. Did the human harm you? The leader asked. No, Nira said firmly. He did not move. He did not speak. He did not act. Did you feel threatened? She paused. I felt afraid, she said honestly, but not because of him. Because of what I believed. The chamber stirred. What do you mean? The leader asked. Nira lifted her eyes. We're taught humans take without asking, but this one. He turned away. He apologized. He showed restraint even when vulnerable. Silence pressed down on the room. Daniel did not look at her, but his shoulders eased slightly. Another counselor leaned back. One human does not change a species. No, Nira agreed. But one truth can change a lie. The council recessed briefly. Lights dimmed. Low voices filled the chamber. Daniel exhaled slowly. You didn't have to say that, he murmured. Yes. Nira replied. I did. When the council returned, their leader spoke with measured tone. The human will not be imprisoned, they said. He will remain under observation until fully healed. Relief washed through Nira, but the leader continued. His presence has caused disruption. Daniel nodded. I tend to do that. Some counselors bristled. Others seemed thoughtful. Caretaker Nira, the leader said, you will continue monitoring him. Your insight is noted. She bowed slightly. I accept. As they left the chamber, guards parted to let them pass. No chains. No force. Back in the medical corridor, Nira finally allowed herself to breathe. You stood your ground, Daniel said quietly. So did you. She replied. They walked in silence for a moment. Whatever happens next, Daniel said. Thank you for seeing me as more than a threat. Nira looked at him. Whatever happens next, she said. Thank you for proving we were wrong. Behind them, the council chamber doors closed. Ahead of them, uncertainty waited. But between them now was something stronger than fear. Understanding. And in a galaxy ruled by dominance, that understanding was the most dangerous thing of all. Training Hall was never meant for healing bodies. Its wide floor was made of reinforced alloy. The walls were scarred from years of combat tests. This was the place where species proved power, not patience. Yet this was where the council ordered Daniel to go, to observe your physical capacity. They said. Nira stood near the entrance. Uneasy. This is not wise, she whispered. They want to see if you are dangerous. Daniel rolled his shoulders carefully. He was stronger now, but not whole. Then I'll show them something else. The hall filled with observers' guards, council aides, and curious aliens. In the center stood a large combat drone, inactive but heavy. It was designed to overpower most beings. Lift it, a counselor commanded. Show us your strength. Daniel stepped forward. He placed his hands under the drone. Muscles tightened. Slowly, steadily, he lifted it off the floor. Gasps echoed, even injured. The human was strong. Enough, Nira said sharply, forgetting herself. His wounds. The council raised a hand. Put it down, they ordered. Daniel obeyed at once, lowering the drone gently until it touched the floor without a sound. No show. No challenge. A council member narrowed their eyes. You could have thrown it. Yes, Daniel said. I chose not to. They activated the drone. It moved fast, striking toward him with blunt force arms. Daniel stepped back, blocking once, twice. The impact shook the hall. He stumbled but stayed upright. He could end it. Everyone could see that. Instead, he raised his hands. Stop the test, he said. You've seen enough. The drone struck again, closer to Nira's position. Without thinking, Daniel moved. He stepped between the drone and Nira, catching its arm mid-strike, metal bent. The drone froze, unable to move. The hall went silent. Daniel did not crush it. He did not attack. He simply held it, containing the force, controlling it. Deactivate it, he said calmly. The drone powered down. Daniel released it and took a step back, breathing hard. You risked yourself, a counselor said. For a caretaker. She's a person, Daniel replied. That's enough. Nira felt her chest tighten. No one had ever stepped in front of her before. Not without obligation. Not without gain. He had reason to dominate, one counselor whispered. And he refused. The leader stood. This is your restraint, they said. You choose limits. Where none are forced. Yes, Daniel said. That's what makes us human. The observers slowly dispersed. The test was over. Later in the quiet of the medical bay, Daniel sat heavily on the edge of the bed. Nira cleaned the small tear on his arm where the drone had struck. You did not have to protect me, she said. Yes, he replied. I did. She looked at him, truly seeing him now not as a patient, not as a threat, but as someone who chose others over himself. In my world, she said slowly, strength takes, it claims. Daniel met her eyes. In mine, strength protects. She finished the bandage and stepped back. The space between them felt different now, safer, outside. The bay, messages were already spreading through the station. Data logs updated. Observers filed reports. Human strength classified as controlled, deliberate, protective. Nira looked through the glass at the stars beyond the station. The galaxy feared humans for their power, but it was their restraint that would change everything. The medical bay was quiet again, but it was no longer tensed. Daniel lay back on the bed, his breathing slow and steady. His body still hurt, but his mind was clear. The test in the training hall had ended hours ago, yet its echo remained. The station was talking. Guards whispered. Data logs updated. Humans were no longer listed as uncontrolled threats. Nira sat at the small console beside him, reviewing his recovery chart. Her movements were calm now, no shaking hands. No hesitation. You should not have been taken to the training hall. She said, you were not ready. Daniel gave a tired smile. They needed to see something real. They did, Nira replied. And so did I. She hesitated, then turned to face him fully. Her eyes reflected the soft light above. There is something I must understand, she said. From the first day. Daniel knew what she meant. He did not look away this time. Ask, he said. When my hand touched you, Nira said carefully, choosing every word. And your body reacted. Why did you feel shame instead of pride? Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke slowly. Simply, because my body acted without my permission, he said. And I never want someone to think I meant something I didn't. Nira absorbed this. In my culture, she said, that reaction means claim, power, intention. In mine, Daniel replied, it means biology. Nothing more. Meaning only comes from choice. She leaned back slightly, as if a weight had lifted, so the fear was unnecessary, she said. Yes, Daniel said gently. But understandable. Nira looked down at her hands. I thought you were dangerous. Daniel nodded. Most people do. She looked up again. Now I know the danger was not in you, but in what we assumed. The station lights shifted to night cycle, bathing the room in soft blue tones. For a long moment, neither spoke. I will be reassigned soon, Daniel said quietly. Once I can travel. Nira felt something tighten inside her. You will leave, yes. This time, the silence felt heavy. You changed our records, she said. You changed how we see humans. Daniel shrugged slightly. I just showed up and survived. That is not all you did, Nira said. You trusted us when we did not trust you. She stood and adjusted the blanket around him, careful, respectful. There was no fear in her touch now. No confusion. Just understanding. I am glad, she said softly, that I was the one ordered to clean your wounds. Daniel met her gaze. So am I. Outside the bay, a message flashed across the station network. Human biological responses reclassified. Non-hostile, involuntary. Context-dependent. NIR. Read it once. Then close the screen. What will you do? She asked, when you return to your people? Daniel thought for a moment. Tell them that the galaxy isn't ready for us yet, he said. But it's learning. She nodded slowly. As the artificial night deepened, Nira realized the truth that had taken her so long to accept. What she had feared beneath the blanket was never a threat. It was proof of something rare in the universe. A species strong enough to feel and disciplined enough to choose kindness anyway. The day Daniel left the station arrived without ceremony. No guards lined the halls. No warning alarms sounded. Only a quiet message moved through the station systems. Human departure approved. For most, it was just another update. For Nira, it felt like the end of something important. Daniel stood near the docking bay, dressed in a simple travel suit provided by the council. He was fully healed now, strong, steady, ready to leave. Nira approached slowly, carrying a small data chip. This contains your medical record, she said. And the council's final report. Daniel took it. Should I be worried? She shook her head. No, you changed it. Around them, station staff watched from a distance. Some still feared him. Others looked curious. A few looked thoughtful. The council has updated the human classification, Nira continued. You are no longer listed as an uncontrolled species. Daniel raised an eyebrow. That's a low bar, but I'll take it. She allowed herself a small smile. There is more, she said. A new note was added, by me. He looked at her. What does it say? That humans are dangerous, Nira replied calmly. Daniel's smile faded slightly. Because, she added, you are capable of great force and greater restraint. His smile returned, softer this time. The docking gate opened with a low hum. Beyond it waited a small transport ship, lights warm and ready. I will remember you, Nira said. Not as a patient, not as a threat, but as the one who taught us that control is strength. Daniel paused, then placed his hand over his chest in a human gesture of respect. I'll remember you too, he said, as the first person who chose to see me, not the stories. They stood there for a moment longer, neither rushing to end it. Then Daniel turned and walked toward the ship. Nira watched until the gate closed and the vessel drifted away, becoming a small light among many stars. Weeks later, the council chamber held another meeting. Reports from nearby systems showed a shift. Where humans appeared, conflict did not always follow. Records referenced Station K-47 again and again. A single incident, a single caretaker, a single human. The galaxy began to change its language. Not how do we stop humans, but how do humans stop themselves? Back in the medical bay, a new patient. Arrived another species, another injury. Nira moved with calm confidence, no longer ruled by old fears. She looked up at the stars beyond the window and felt something new, hope, somewhere out there. A human carried her words back to his people. Somewhere else, another alien would read a report and pause before judging. And when the stars remembered this moment, they would not remember fear or power. They would remember restraint. Because in a universe built on domination, humanity's greatest strength was not what it could do, but what it chose not to do.